Hi everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I am doing a new iPad tour for you guys and also showing you my current and updated digital drawing process. So as some of you might have seen on my social media recently, I got a new iPad, a little upgrade from my old one. It is the new iPad Pro 11-inch 4th generation. I also got it engraved with a little sparkly thing saying PiPad because it's the cute name that I've given my iPad, because my name is Piper. Very funny. So yeah, as you can see, I have this cute little wallpaper as my background, and I actually made this on Procreate, so I'm going to attach the background down there for you to download if you like it and you want to use it yourself. And here on my home screen, you can see I've got all these like little widgets, and all of these are actually from an app called Widgie, and you can kind of like make and customize your own widgets and stuff to have on your home screen. On my second page, I have all these other apps I just kind of don't use as much because obviously the ones I use the most are on my front page. And honestly, that's pretty much it. My iPad is very simple because I only use it for drawing. Which, speaking of, let's do some drawing. But before we get into that, let's hear from today's sponsors. Today's video is sponsored by Paperlike. Since I got a new iPad, I also needed a new Paperlike screen protector for it. I've gotten so used to using my iPad with this screen protector over the past few years that it just feels plain weird not having one at this point. So here I am applying the Paperlike 2.1 screen protector, or as they call it, their Swiss Paperlike. This is Paperlike's new and improved Swiss-based manufactured screen protector with better overall visibility and clarity, better nanodots distribution, and still the same papery feel and stroke resistance that we're all used to. So it's basically got all the same feel and texture as the old Paperlike 2.0 protector with improved visual clarity during usage. And to sweeten the deal even more for you, Paperlike is celebrating the back to school season from July 31st to September 17th, during which time everyone who purchases any hardware product on their website will get the Pro Planner for free. The Paperlike Digital Pro Planner is a beautiful, fully fledged planner based on their already existing and successful free digital planner. The Pro Planner comes with 10 different planners, each of these offered in light and dark mode. The Paperlike Pro Planner gets free updates every year, and you can access it from any device, so it's always with you to accommodate your lifestyle. Here you can see me setting up my own Pro Planner. I've never really gotten into digital planners because I've always been really scared to try them out, but honestly, the Paperlike Pro Planner is so easy to set up, and honestly, I was ready and using it within 5 minutes. And also, the Digital Pro Planner comes with some really cute stickers that you can use to decorate your planner even more. So don't miss out on this amazing promotion. Get your own Paperlike hardware and get your free Digital Pro Planner to keep yourself organized for the new school year. So yeah, I started off by importing this little sketch that I did in my sketchbook a few weeks back, and I just took a picture of it and imported it into my Procreate, and I clicked on the image layer, lowered the opacity, and then added a layer on top of that one. And this is where I'm going to be doing my line art. The brush that I'm using for this piece, and I'm pretty much use the same brush for everything, I'm going to have it linked down in the description. It's a brush called Round Wet Sketch from a brush pack from Bluesssatan, who's an artist that I follow on Instagram, and I'm obsessed with this brush. I've been using it for years for like everything. It's amazing both for line art, for rendering, for everything. Honestly, I use it for everything. I picked out this dark red color for the line art. I really enjoy doing my line art in red. If you guys have seen any other digital drawing video of mine, you will have seen that I enjoy doing my line art in like this dark red color. And the reason for this is that I do a lot of portraiture, mainly portrait drawings, and I like my line art to have this sort of like reddish brown undertone. And when you turn a line art layer that is dark red into a multiply layer, which I will show you how to do in a bit, every color that you add underneath it turns that line art layer into like a darker version of whatever you've put down. And if you use a dark red, it kind of turns into this like reddish brownish color when you add skin tones on top of it. So that's mainly the reason why I like using a dark red, is just because it creates automatic colored line art that you don't have to go over afterwards. So I just went over the whole sketch with this brush and this color, just basically cleaning up the sketch and adding all these little fine details that I didn't add in the original sketch, and just cleaning it up pretty much. And doing line art is honestly like one of the most satisfying things. It is so relaxing to me and I enjoy it so much that I actually started doing some coloring pages that you can actually download from my online shop. I'll leave the link to them down there in the description box as well, because I really enjoy line art and I enjoy coloring things in, so I just thought it was really sweet to actually make some coloring pages that you guys can color in. So I've turned some of the drawings that I've made into just line art versions, and yeah, and now they're available on my shop. And you can download them and color them in digitally or print them off and color them in with pencils or whatever. So once I was happy with the original sketch, I actually wanted to add in some more essence to this drawing because it was just a portrait sketch and I wanted to add these really cool sort of like ribbons that are like floating around this main character and, you know, in and around her. So I added a layer on top of this line art layer just to sketch out the general shape of this ribbon so that I could then use it as reference. And once I was happy with the shape and the placements and the composition of the ribbons, I went back to my line art layer and basically just drew out the line art for the ribbons and cleaned them up a little bit. So that was it for my line art, pretty much. I went ahead and deleted all of my reference pictures and then I clicked on the line art layer that I'd done, and once you click on that little N letter next to the layer name, you can see it opens up a menu that has all of your like layer styles, and if you scroll up and pick multiply, that's the one that I usually turn my line art layer into. But before we add any color, I just went back into my line art layer and just added some light shading and basically blocked in where all my shading was to go. I like doing this again in the line art layer because it saves me a little bit of time once I get into the coloring stage, and also I just really like the different sort of undertones that this multiply layer provides. So then it was time to pick a background color. I was kind of torn and I ended up trying out 7 different background colors, but I ended up going with this sort of like teal blue. And then I added a layer underneath my line art layer, and this is where I'm going to start doing all of my flat colors. So every single flat color layer, you're going to want to add it underneath your line art layer, because as you can see, once I start coloring it in these layers underneath, it changes the color of the line art layer that we did. So it turns them into a darker, more brown or reddish version of whatever color you're putting down. And it's a really easy, fast way to do colored line art. You can play around with different colors as well to create different sort of toned line art layers. Like if you like more purpley line art or more bluish line art, depending on the tone of your drawing, you can play around with that. And the cool thing is you can even change it afterwards if you alpha lock your line art layer and then just color in the whole layer with like a different color. It's very easy to play around with that even afterwards, so you don't have to commit to one line art color right at the beginning of your drawing. So I added in my flat colors for every single element of the drawing on separate layers. So I'll do the skin tone on one layer, the hair on a different layer, the jewelry or clothing on a different layer. And this is mainly just because then once I've done all my flat layers, I can alpha lock them, which I will show you how to do as well in a bit. And it allows me then to color inside these layers without going outside the lines. And I can use like really big airbrushy brushes to add colors. So you basically just tap on the layer that you want and then tap it again, and it opens up this sidebar menu, which you can then click Alpha Lock. And this will basically lock the colors that you've just drawn in to this layer, and whatever you draw on top of it while that layer is alpha locked will not go outside of that area. So you can use really big brushes. As you can see here, I'm just adding some blush with a really big sort of airbrushy brush, which is basically the same brush I used for my line art, but just a lot bigger and using a very light hand. And yeah, it's just a really easy way to add in big blocks of color into a shape that you've already added color to. So you don't have to be, carefully drawing around the edges. So once I start adding some more details on top of my line art, I basically add a layer and then put it on top of my line art. And this layer is basically for extra details and pops of color, things like that. So for example, I'm showing you here is doing my big pops of highlight, especially on the eyes. I like to do this on a layer on top of the line art because, like in a painting, like you would traditional painting, it completely covers what you did in the line art stage and just really pops out without being covered by this multiply layer basically. And yeah, it's a really nice way to add highlights. It's my favorite way to sort of render pieces really nicely and add these really big pops of highlight. But you can always go back and add shadows and stuff to the flat color layers that we made earlier. So as you can see here, I'm just doing this process on the ribbons around her, just adding like this really light pop of color and this highlight to her hair and her ribbons. And all of this is being done on the details layer that sits on top of the line art layer. And as you can see here, I wanted a little bit more contrast in the hair, so I went back to the hair flat color layer and just added a darker color to some of the bits behind these locks, just to create like a shadow cast from some of the locks of hair and just adding a little bit more dimension to her hair basically. So we've got a really dark color, a medium tone, and then the highlights. And all of these work in tandem to create a nice sort of three-dimensional shape to everything basically. So usually when I'm doing the flat color layer, I'll be filling that in with my mid-tone color, and then I'll add, shadows later on, and then the highlights in that detail layer that we added on top of the line art layer. And that's sort of my like really broken down process for rendering anything. So just identify which color is your mid-tone, and then you basically just color pick that color, pick a darker color and a lighter color, and that's your shadows and your highlights. So then on that detail layer, I also added in these sparkles that I'm going to sort of put around her. And then I alpha locked that layer, and I'm going to actually color in some of the sparkles in different colors and have them like in these little bright pops of color. And then before I forgot, I added my signature over there in the bottom left corner of the drawing. And actually, once I was like looking at the drawing at the end and sort of zooming out, looking at the big picture, I decided I wanted to add some pops of color to her face. So I actually color picked some of those colors that I used for the sparkles that were like, some random, really bright, almost neon colors. And added a little bit of cross-hatching here and there to her face with these colors. And again, these don't have to like make a lot of sense because I really just wanted to add some textures with some bright colors to her skin, because it's something that I've been really enjoying in some of my artworks. But that's sort of my process and what I usually do at the end of a painting to really tie all the colors together. And that was pretty much it for my process of making this drawing, and a very quick updated tutorial on how I draw digitally. Here is the final piece in its actual colors, because obviously the camera doesn't usually do it justice. Check out my other tutorials if you have any other questions or want some more in-depth tutorials on drawing digitally. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye!